Welcome to DPV. I'm Josh, and today we're working on my AMC TH400 for the Big Chief, my 79 Jeep Cherokee. Last time we were working on this, got it all blown apart. So now we've got a few more like sub-assemblies to take apart. I'm only going to take them apart as I go in the order that they go back in the case. So first thing, so we're going to take this output carrier assembly apart. Our output shaft here. So basically there's a snap ring in there we got to pull out, and I'm not replacing any parts in here, but just kind of doing my due diligence, make sure everything's clean, make sure there's nothing that needs to be replaced. Hopefully not, because I don't have any other parts. But yeah, let's get that snap ring out and pull this thing apart, get it all cleaned up. Alright, so there's some shims that sit on the end there. This is that snap ring, and it's got a little cutout there where you can get your screwdriver in to get it started, and then it's pretty easy. I got the rest out with this little pick. Then between this guy and this guy, there's a needle bearing, and then there's another set of needle bearings goes here, and that must be for the next assembly to set against. So I'm going to spray these guys out with some brake clean, make sure that all the grit that might be in there is out. It looks pretty good. There's a bushing here that I'm not going to replace, but if you're doing an absolute full rebuild, to replace that. But I think we're in good shape here. I'm just going to clean them up, get it back together, slap her down in the case. Alright, so this one's called the reaction drum. It's got a planetary in there. And then this little sprag thing goes in there, and it locks one direction and freewheels the other. You can see there's a kind of wedge-shaped little cutouts there. And so basically I think when these rollers roll, it gets tight on as it rolls up that ramp and locks this in. That's as much as I know about it, so more learning to be had, but it all looks good. I'm going to put this guy back in there and make sure there's no dust on the backside. There is, you can see that yellow ring down there, little plastic spacer that goes between the pieces. All right, now this gear goes inside that other planetary. And there's another set of needle bearings that goes in. All right, so I got the sun gear in. That was that little gear that slipped inside this planetary. And then the sun gear shaft is right here. And there's another set of needle bearings that sets on top of that sun gear. The next piece that goes in is this center support, and there's an intermediate clutch in there, and it's got some piston lip seals we got to take apart. So this pushes down, and we got to get this snap ring off. And also we've got these sealing rings, that's what they're called, 4 of them. Got to take those apart. They just kind of squeeze them together. I don't know if you can see that, there's like a little hook. Just squeeze it and unhook it, and then these can very carefully come off. And then we've got some new ones to put on there. So let's get the snap ring off, get this pulled apart so we can get those lip seals taken care of. Now I'm just taking an old sealing ring and just running it around the groove, making sure it doesn't catch anywhere. Alright, and this is that piston with the sealing rings here. So these are going to be replaced. There's 2 of them. So we'll just grab our kit and find the one that matches that size there. So this is that inside ring, and you want the little lip to go down. So you don't want that lip seal to fold backwards, basically. So that's what I was trying to do, is to use my feeler gauge, make sure it's going in there correctly. Now I think that it is, so we're gonna throw this guy back in there. There's 3 springs. Oh, there's 6 holes, but I guess a lot of them only have 3 springs. So you just want to make sure that they're evenly spaced out. We'll get this guy back on there, and the snap ring. Now we just got to figure out which one of these rings we need. There's 2 different places where these rings go, I believe. And these are supposedly pretty brittle, so we want to make sure that we're not getting too aggressive here. Just get down nice and straight. When you get them down into position, you just squeeze them and they should click. And there we go. Just like that. 3 more, and then this guy can go in the case. Alright, so this guy positions in the case a certain orientation. You want to make sure that that bolt that we had to grind the socket for, that bolt hole is positioned downward. Man, I was struggling to get that center section to drop in there, center support. And man, I took it out a few times and messed with that sprag because I thought the sprag was, getting in the way. But it turns out I had that, there's like a little spacer snap ring in there. And not all cases have it, but I had it in there kind of cross-threaded, so it was holding that center section up. Now I got that in there so I can get that center bolt in and get my other snap ring in. I think I'm gonna eat something and we'll start tackling the clutch packs. All right, so this is the direct clutch drum assembly, and there's a bunch of springs in there, so you can't just push this one down by hand. I got it in my press here. They do make tools to do this, but you gotta press, get 2 equal length, push bars, and then you gotta get that snap ring out of there. Push this down a little bit. You don't want to compress it too much because you can damage those springs. So I'm going to get that snap ring out of there and then we'll pull it apart. Alright, so with that snap ring out of there, this little plate comes right off. I guess it's not uncommon to have a couple springs missing, so looks like we just have 14 springs in there total, or 16 holes. You can just set these aside. And then this is our next piston, and there's a couple lip seals that we gotta pull off there. There's one inside the drum, and then 2 on this guy. All right, so for the slip seal that goes inside the drum, the lip goes up. And for the ones that go on the piston, the lip goes down. It's gonna be kind of the same deal. Don't want that lip to fold up when you're putting it down in the housing here. So we're gonna have to use this feeler gauge, or they make other tools to help get this started. Now I just gotta put these springs back. Take that back to the press and get our snap ring back on. All right, so the next step, we gotta get our first set of steels and clutch discs. You wanna make sure that you soak your clutch discs in ATF. So I cleaned out the pan, put them in there. If you remember, we flipped this over, so the top band is the first one that goes in. So we're basically just gonna find the steels in the kit that match this. The first one is wavy, it's kind of thin, and it's got a little bend to it. And that makes, when you put it into first or you put it into reverse, it kind of softens up the initial takeoff or whatever, so you don't have a hard, it doesn't like bang when you shove it into first gear. So we're going to basically just find one that matches this, put it in there, and then throw this away, and then so on and so forth till we get through this pack and get the snap ring in there. All right, so having an issue here. The pressure plate is not down far enough to get my snap ring in, and I'm thinking that maybe that first wave plate that came with the kit is too thick, because the one that was in the transmission seems to be a bit thinner. So I might pull it all out and reuse the wave plate from the original. And see if that allows me to get the snap ring in. All right, I got them in there. I measured the old clutch pack against the new clutch pack, and they were exactly the same, or close enough. So that was not the issue. The issue was that piston that I had taken apart on the bench. It was not seated all the way, and so it was kind of pushed up, and I could tell that like this was tight. I couldn't push down on that snap ring, so it had come up at some point in the process, and so I had to take it all the way apart and reseat that lip seal. And anyway, got them in. We did the lip seals on that piston, so that guy can go in after we get the new clutch discs in that drum. So we're going to do that next. All right, so these steels have a little bit different shape. See how that one's got that shape in it? This one is that. And that matches what is in the original. See, it's got that shape and that shape. So we're going to make sure we match those up as we go. Remember, I flipped this, so this should be the first one that goes in. All right, that guy's all back together. Got my band back in. My kit did not come with band, so hopefully these guys are gonna be sufficient. We should be able to drop this guy in there, then that guy goes in. We just gotta seal up the pump. We are about done. This is awesome. All right, so this front drum also has some clutch discs, and I did the same thing. This was in there like that. Just flipped it, so this I know is my first one. I think this is where that transmission was bad. Look at that. This piston's exactly like that direct clutch. So those seals will do just the same. And then I'll put these discs in there. And yeah, looking good. Well, ran into an issue here. Working on the pump, and see that in there? A big old giant gouge in that bushing, and I can't find one locally. So I have to order that and get the seal pulled out. I pulled the pump out of this case to see how it looked, and it looks like it got gouged too. I think it's one of those things when somebody's jamming in a torque converter and they gouge it, you know, so made a big old mess. This one, I'm going to be using this output shaft when I go to build the doubler. So I'll be building another Turbo 400 at some point. This is just to get me going and help me learn how to do this process. But anyway, got to order that bushing, so kind of held up on getting it back together the rest of the way. I can put the new seals in that, get the governor in. That'd be good. So there's a few things left that I can do, but won't be able to put the valve body on until I get this pump on, because I don't want to flip this case all around until that's all secure. All right, now I'm working on this reverse servo. So I had a seal here, a couple seals here. These ones are kind of hard, and so I just cut them with a razor knife because I couldn't get them picked out of there. And then this one I was able to pull out with the pick. It's rubber. And so we're gonna put these new seals on the reverse servo piston and get it back together, back in the case. Alright, tapped in the new shift linkage seal. Tapped the old one out with a screwdriver just from the back side, and then used socket to tap the new one in. But I think that's about as far as I can go tonight. I don't really want to be picking this thing up without the pump on there. So I'm gonna order some parts, hopefully before my week off is up, parts can come. And I can get this thing back together. Just one more, it's that bushing seal, put the pump back together. And then figure out that valve body. Sweet. Got the new bushing in. When you set the pump gasket in there, you want to make sure that all your bolt holes line up properly. That way all your oil passageways are open, the ones that are supposed to be open. So I think I got that set right. And also your bolts could either come with O-rings or these like fiber gasketed washers. Mine came with the washers, so that's what I'm going to use out of the kit. All right, that, my friends, is a rebuilt Turbo 400. And I know what you're thinking. It looks exactly the same as when we started, but what's on the inside that counts? Now, we don't know if it works. We just know that it's rebuilt. And for all we know, it could have 5 neutrals. Pretty sure I got park right, so maybe we'll just have 4 neutrals. But yeah, rebuilt, all sealed up. I might throw a coat of paint on it, you know, make it look more rebuilt. Plus, honestly, it is easier to get mud and stuff off of a gloss finish. So I just spray it with some gloss black and the mud and stuff won't show up as much. And when I do wash it with the pressure washer, it'll come off easier. So I may do that. I do need to grab the modulator off the Big Chief when I swap them out, because I did buy a new one and it's on the transmission under the Jeep. Got to swap out these fittings for my new lines and then slip the torque converter in. But yeah, Big Chief should be on the trail soon. I'm excited. And then we'll just break it again. Who knows what we'll break next? Leave a comment below. What's gonna break next on the Big Chief? I'm thinking probably front axle. All right. Wheel it, wreck it, wrench it, repeat. See you next time.